In the Leela game of human experience, players face chronic hardware overload. Equipped with a quantum processor for deep cosmic resonance, we waste it on trivial daily tasks. This crams endless data into our L1 cache, pushing working memory to collapse, draining energy, and blocking true presence. We need a new architecture to archive trivia to cold storage, freeing our core thread. Data tiering is an elegant concept in computer science. Engineers know not all data holds equal value or needs instant access. Hot data stays in fast, limited cache, while cold data moves to vast, slow storage. This logic aligns perfectly with our brain's mechanics and spiritual needs. When we refuse to build cognitive cold storage, universal truths and grocery lists fight for limited bandwidth, causing mental crashes. From the macro perspective of Leela, we are avatars running specific scripts, designed to experience the purity of existence. Yet, many mistake the logistical data of maintaining the avatar for the game itself. You think you are living, but you are just endlessly processing log files. Clearing your core thread for deep presence is not about productivity, it is about truly logging into the world. One of the greatest illusions of the human brain is the obsession that I must remember everything. The insecure ego tries to control all details to ward off life's uncertainty. It acts like a digital hoarder, clinging to unread messages and future worries. This is an absurd desire for control. These hot data are like thousands of open browser tabs, draining your RAM and causing chronic fatigue. We live in an era that worships busywork as a virtue. Society implies that a brain full of to-dos equates to importance. This is false productivity. When you keep trivialities in the hot data tier, your brain creates the illusion of processing critical issues because it is under high load. Cortisol spikes, neurons fire frantically, yet no real value is produced. It is just spinning in place. Anxiety is the toxic byproduct of unarchived data fermenting in the system. When a task hangs in working memory without a clear storage path, it becomes a self-replicating background process, known as the Zeigarnik effect. These suspended tasks are like unclosable pop-up windows. They stealthily exact an energy tax, hovering like ghosts at the edge of your subconscious, creating a heavy veil of background anxiety. A survival strategy of the ego is binding itself to the constant flow of surface data. It fears silence and emptiness. Thus, it manufactures mental noise, creating an unhealthy attachment to trivialities, making you believe these worries are part of you. When you try to tier your data and clear the core thread, you face fierce internal resistance. The ego screams against releasing control. From a neuroscience perspective, the prefrontal cortex is our advanced cognitive control center, maintaining working memory akin to L1 or L2 cache. It is blazing fast but pathetically small in capacity, holding only 4 to 7 chunks of information at once. When you cram meetings, emails, and chores into this tiny space, you trigger cognitive overload. Our brain evolved for deep serial processing, not parallel mass storage. Computer science combats memory bottlenecks with the elegant memory hierarchy, a perfect metaphor for the human mind. Near the CPU is the tiny, hyperfast L1 cache for urgent instructions. Then comes L2/L3, RAM, SSDs, and finally, magnetic tape in the basement for vast cold storage. This solves the speed versus capacity paradox. Yet, people often force their brain's core network to directly fetch irrelevant baseline data, causing massive latency. Translating data tiering into a mental model requires extreme self-awareness. We must ruthlessly tag incoming information. L1 caches for this very moment, the code you write, the tea you sip. Warm RAM data is today's core tasks. Cold storage is for a friend's birthday in 3 months. Holding cold data in working memory is pure memory leak. The key is to externalize information. The brain is an excellent processor but a terrible hard drive. Bio-energetically, maintaining hot data is incredibly expensive. The prefrontal cortex's energy consumption grows exponentially when holding working memory and suppressing distractions. Every pending task is a vampire draining your glucose. With dozens of chores loaded, your brain acts like a smartphone at max brightness with background apps refreshing, draining the battery visibly. This depletion directly causes decision fatigue. Downgrading data to cold storage is a crucial energy-saving strategy. Offloading is the path to mental freedom. The mechanics rely on creating a frictionless data pipeline. If your cold storage requires opening 3 folders to log an idea, the brain's lazy algorithm will decide it's cheaper to keep it in short-term memory. A perfect system needs ultra-low latency writing and absolutely reliable retrieval. You need a capture net to log thoughts within 5 seconds, building absolute trust with your ego. In OS logic, context switching is the ultimate performance killer. When the CPU pauses a task to load another, the switch itself consumes massive resources without producing output. For the human mind, every interruption by a cold data thought like, "Did I reply?" is a devastating context switch. Research shows it takes 23 minutes to return to deep focus after an interruption. Data tiering eradicates this internal context switching. When unnecessary background processes are terminated and hot data archived, our brain achieves its dream state, presence with zero background processes. It's a state of extreme computational redundancy. Freed from trivia, your quantum brain shifts to deeper dimensions. Your senses sharpen to unprecedented levels. This isn't mysticism, it's neuroscience. By freeing the core thread for presence, you sync with the source code, becoming the game engine itself. Let's appreciate our situation with dark humor. You, a carbon-based organism with a quantum supercomputer brain capable of analyzing cosmic radiation or composing symphonies, are on the subway agonizing over, "What brand of soy sauce did my wife want?" This is cosmic-level comedy. It's like using NASA's supercomputer to draw a stick figure in MS Paint. We are severely degrading our brain's potential. Have you seen someone trying to recall a trivial detail? It's the human version of a buffering icon. Their eyes lose focus, breath shallows, and they disconnect from reality, plunging into a desperate global search within their messy memory stacks. It's visual proof of a blocked core thread. Pausing all I/O operations to fetch tiny cold data is hilariously inefficient. Keep your data externalized and maintain your presence. The ego is not just a control freak, but a hopeless data hoarder. Our mental storage is filled with electronic junk. The ego constantly retrieves expired data like an awkward remark made 5 years ago, pulling it into the hot data zone at 3 a.m. to induce cold sweats. This is the ego maintaining its importance. It requires deep disk cleanup and ruthless garbage collection. Execute permanent deletion. Through the lens of computer science, meditation is simply the brain's ultimate task manager, where you constantly hit force quit. Closing your eyes opens the background monitor. You see worrying about rent taking 30% CPU. Meditation isn't about solving these issues, it's about ruthlessly selecting them and clicking End task. Eventually, the system enters perfect standby, a natural manifestation of hardware running at zero load. The first practical step is establishing a ruthless data classification triage. Like a strict bouncer, you must interrogate every thought entering your working memory. If the thought "I need an oil change" pops up while writing a report, it's disguised cold data. Identify it in 2 seconds, log it in cold storage in 1 second, and snap back. Don't let unauthorized thoughts linger in high-value RAM. Building a rock-solid external cold storage system is the infrastructure of this cognitive revolution. The tool doesn't matter, trustworthiness does. The system needs 3 tiers: a fast capture zone for instant logging, an archive processing zone for scheduled categorization, and a routine inspection mechanism to ensure no data rots. This systematic external brain signals absolute safety to your subconscious, allowing the anxious ego to finally let go. After setting up the system, the toughest challenge is psychological, the deep fear of letting go. Transferring data to cold storage causes withdrawal symptoms and a cognitive crisis of trust. You must slowly train your brain to trust this external system. Log a task, intentionally forget it, and live in the moment. When the system reminds you later, your brain experiences massive relief. The ultimate joy of not remembering begins. When the tiering mechanism works and your brain is emptied, a massive question arises: what will you do with the freed core threads? Nature abhors a vacuum. If undirected, the ego will fill it with new anxieties. This liberated bandwidth must be invested in deep presence and high-quality creation. Apply your quantum processing power to fully experience a cup of coffee or listen deeply to a friend. In Eastern spirituality, there is a profound state where an empty room produces pure light. This perfectly aligns with our data tiering architecture. As an advanced Leela player, you've mastered memory management. Your mind is no longer a crowded, anxious storage room, but an ethereal, boundless void. This emptiness grants incredible lightness and flexibility, enabling macroreceptivity to resonate with the universe's rhythm. This is an evolutionary journey from an inefficient data slave to a fully sentient cosmic observer. Data tiering is not just a productivity hack, it is a highly operational path to spiritual awakening. It teaches us to protect our most sacred assets, attention and presence. Build your cold storage, ruthlessly archive trivial illusions, and log back into the world with a cleared cache and formatted anxiety. Execute clear cache and embrace infinite presence.